Presented by Listen Headlines. Latest financial news from trusted sources. Updating daily noontime New York City.
The Library of Economics and Liberty.
January 14, 1114 America, New York. The Right's Unnecessary Civil War. There is an ongoing battle today between conservatives who want to use government's power to enforce morality and libertarians. The former believe that the nation's moral decay is a product of classical liberal policies that allowed or even encouraged immorality.
Wall Street Journal U.S. Business.
January 14, 9:03 America, New York, U.S. Russia agree to use Russian ship for backup space station mission. NASA is in discussions with SpaceX about using a company spacecraft if there is an emergency at the research facility.
New York Times Business.
January 14, 8 o'clock America, New York. Just how common is corporate fraud? A new study estimates that on average 10% of public companies commit securities fraud each year. Wall Street Journal U.S. Business.
January 14, 5:31 America, New York. Washington bets on green hydrogen and companies line up to cash in. Plug Power hopes to be profitable for the first time in its 25-year history on the back of a new law.
New York Times Business.
January 14, 5:03 America, New York. Cooperation on climate is emerging in the Middle East. After the Abraham Accords, partnerships between companies in Israel and Arab countries have led to the kinds of initiatives that will be on the Davos agenda. Khalid Al-Hay, an ExecuJet Middle East board member, right, giving Rabbi Levi Dutchman a tour of the luxury jet charter services private terminal at Dubai International Airport.
Marginal Revolution. January 14, 2:33 America, New York. Saturday assorted links. 1. When is impulsive behavior adaptive? 2. Robert Colville on the morality of economic growth. 3. Do fairy circles come from plant competition and self-organization? Marginal Revolution.
January 14, 1:14 America, New York. Should we now conclude that the euro is just fine? No, and that is the topic of my latest Bloomberg column. The core difficulties of the euro arise when two circumstances coincide. There are deflationary pressures, and economic conditions vary greatly among the nations of the eurozone.
Daily FX Market News. January 13, 1915 America, New York. S&P 500 toes technical cliff. Dollar has lost half of its rate era climb. Event risk uneven. Both the benchmark for global equities and the world's most liquid currency registered meaningful progress this past week while still standing firmly in a shadow of doubt around commitment. On the cusp of risk-on breaks, how will holiday liquidity and an eclectic mix of top event risk steer conviction?
New York Times Business.
January 13, 1914 America, New York. No increased stroke risk linked to Pfizer's COVID boosters, federal officials say. An uptick hinted at in surveillance data was a mirage, the officials said. A booster vaccination clinic in Salt Lake City last year.
BBC News Business.
January 13, 1902 America, New York. Single-use plastic. Takeaways face ban in October. More details emerge of a ban that businesses say could make takeaways more costly.
Wall Street Journal U.S. Business. January 13, 1902 America, New York. Twitter offers free ads as it seeks to woo brands back to its platform. The tech company is dangling free ad space by offering to match advertisers' ad spending up to $250,000.
BBC News Business.
January 13, 1725 America, New York. Holidaymakers spending more as bookings rise. People planning a trip abroad for the summer are splashing out despite incomes being hit by inflation.
BBC News Business.
January 13, 1723 America, New York. U.S.-China chip war. America is winning. The rivalry is entering a new phase, with global players increasingly caught in the crossfire.
Global economy.
January 13, 1600 America, New York. Global bond market rebounds strongly as inflation fears recede. Fixed income is recovering from last year's rout, restoring its traditional role as a haven against economic downturn.
Marginal Revolution.
January 13, 1419 America, New York. The Pile of Talent Test. The economist Tyler Cowen suggests a thought experiment to illustrate this point. Take out a piece of paper. In one column, list all of the major problems this country faces: inequality, political polarization, social distrust, climate change, and so on.
Global economy, January 13th, 1315 America New York, Wall Street issues note of caution after Fed windfalls. Also in this edition, some welcome news on the UK economy, China takes tech golden shares, quantum computing hype.
Daily FX Market News.
January 13th, 1019 America New York, Michigan consumer sentiment beats across the board, US dollar unmoved. The US dollar is little changed after the release of the latest Uni of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report showed consumer sentiment picking up sharply.